Hello, everyone. Here, beautiful Bali. I'm going to dive in today around the topics of anxiety and stress. And if you're listening to this, I'm sure at one point in your life you've suffered from a bit of anxiety or a bit of stress. So I'm going to discuss into some of the things you can look out for when you're really starting to feel deeper anxiety and feel deeper stress, and also how to really more alleviate and to heal it, not just in a consciousness-based level, but really from a somatic body-based level. Because I know in my own journey with anxiety, when I can start to listen to my body's signals, then it's giving me a really great wisdom that I can tune into that can guide me into deeper healing. But I remember in my past, I would feel anxiety and I'd be like, I need to run away from this, not actually embrace it. So to embrace anxiety, to embrace what might feel like stress, is a way to create more spaciousness for the playground of life that we're navigating through. So for you, darling, what is anxiety and stress? How do you deal with these things in your life?
Well, first, before I say that, I would like to address this. It's like, I feel like it's often this unspoken thing, anxiety and stress. You know, we go to yoga classes, we go to tantra workshops, and often, you know, we're going here. It's like we're taking people from zero to hero. It's like, okay, I can do these practices of meditation and vipassana and yoga asana and, you know, these beautiful tantric rituals, but actually I wake up anxious every morning. And every time I go to sleep, I'm anxious. What do I just do with that? So what I first of all want to say to people is, if you suffer from anxiety and stress, welcome to 95% of the population. I've been working in the field of personal development and Tantra for almost 2 decades, and almost everyone I speak to, when I talk to them and ask them about anxiety and stress, they suffer from that to some level, and they don't know what the hell to do with it. So my journey with anxiety and stress has been really what I used to do when I was more in the consciousness world and personal development world. That was really helpful is I would track, okay, before I got anxious, what was the thought that I was having? Or before I felt stressed, what was the thought that I was having? So, okay, I'm here and I'm anxious. I'm like, before that happened, I thought, oh wow, what if he rejects me? Or I thought, what if I don't make enough money to pay off the mortgage next month? Or I had the thought, you know, what if I'm not going to be able to have another child? Or whatever it is. And it's really going back to that thought and going, what would happen if I changed that thought? If I said, okay, what if he really is receptive to me and really into me? What if I can have children? What if I do have enough money for the mortgage? You know, that's putting it really simply. And at the end of the day, our thoughts create our reality. And if we're focusing on what's missing, or we're creating a scenario in the future of something that could happen, then we're going to feel stressed, we're going to feel anxious. And it's like, it's just a fucking thought that's creating all of this. So that's the first step, is go back and track that thought. As I began the Tantra journey, I developed more steps. It was like sometimes I'd change the thought, but my body was just still screaming at me. Mm-hmm. And it's because actually what that thought was bringing up, or what the situation that created that thought was bringing up, was something that was underneath that. So, okay, let's take the thought, the very common thought amongst the feminine in all of us, what if they reject me? Mm. So we can change that thought, but then we can also go, okay, and that fear that I feel, so when I change the thought, what if they were open to me? What comes up in that? Probably fear. If I think that, then what if I get rejected? That would be even worse, you know? At least if I think I'm going to get rejected, I can't get disappointed. So then it's taking it into the body and going, okay, when I have the thought, what if that person was open to me and really loving me? What comes up? And then you unwrap yourself from the narrative and you just allow yourself to feel what's there. And that can be a gentle exploration of just or just breathing, or, you know, like shaking the body a little bit. allowing some fight or flight to move through your body. And basically, often anxiety and stress it's a build-up. It seems like it's about some superficial or surface thing, but it's actually a build-up of a lot of undischarged tension in the body. And it's an opportunity to then go in and discharge that tension. So for all the times that you've been rejected, or for all the times that you've tried to have a baby and you couldn't, or for all the times that you didn't have enough money, or someone spoke about money in a way that brought fear to you, at that time, you maybe didn't express the fear, you didn't express the sadness, you didn't express the intensity of emotion that lived in your body. So you pushed it down and it just builds up, so that eventually it just becomes stress. Eventually it just becomes anxiety. So you want to dive into the body and start to discharge that energy, give it some freedom. Not in a way that's overly cathartic. I don't think that works. I think it often just opens the valve and can create even more anxiety, but in a way where you're deeply breathing and feeling. And really, the safety is the first rule of healing. And with ELIYAH Tantra School, what we really encourage is slow body-based experiences where you can be very present to yourself, feel what you couldn't feel then in the past, feel what you haven't been able to really stay present to, so that you can start to feel more freedom in the body.
And the piece that I see most consistently in society, like I love what you're sharing, and I think it's good for people to express more deeply. But what I see more consistently, those that haven't, come to one of our retreats or haven't really tapped into this place, is that the level of where addictions come in. And when anxiety and stress comes into someone's life, I think there's a part of our societal programming that's like, oh, stress is coming, let me go find a beer. Oh, I'm having all this anxiety, let me go smoke a joint. And the part I noticed in my own journey with anxiety and stress is, in my youth, I've shared before on lives, just a lot of chaos and a lot of things I went through, and I had a lot of that unexpressed emotion inside of me. And I would always go towards the bottle. I would go towards the, drinking beer or drinking whiskey or whatever it was, because that was my way of being free, so some of that emotion could happen. And when I really gave myself permission to feel a lot of these emotions and to dive deeper into this field, I noticed that part of me that wanted to suppress and wanted to feel through having a drink started to go away. And I was like, there wasn't that need or desire anymore. So the inquiry for those of you listening is beginning to track your addictions. And addictions isn't just, consciousness altering drugs or alcohol. It can be a lot of different things, but it
can be work addiction, it can be social media, it can be addicted to meditating, it can be addicted to shutting yourself away and just and using meditation as a way to disconnect.
And so all those addictions are there, and they're really just drawing you away from giving yourself permission to feel what's underneath it, to allow the body's wisdom to unfold, to actually give it a sound, to give it breath, to allow it to expand. And what I find in doing that, it can feel awkward. It can feel like, okay, I remember Aaron and Chantelle talking about giving this part of me expression, but it feels weird, and I really want to just go back to social media. I really want to just go and have a beer, because that's easy. So we train our nervous system at a young age, because it almost gets too overwhelming. So we start to have these different addictions, these different things that take us outside, and we're giving our power to these different pieces. And when we can pull our power back, what that requires to actually be even more empowered is to feel all the places where you've been not giving yourself permission to feel. And it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight, but you're literally reprogramming the way in which your body is receiving and moving through anxiety and stress as you receive it in your world. And I find it even, when things get really heightened, I can notice the times where I'm like, oh, I want to go and, numb myself some way, because this feels too overwhelming to actually feel. And fair enough, there's situations that can be there. But when you're willing to pause, when you're willing to breathe, when you're willing to ask yourself, wow, am I going to this, do that particular action that you recognize as being an addiction just because you don't want to feel, that first step is having the conscious awareness that what you've been doing is a pattern that's pushing your power away. So when you have that awareness, you draw that back, and then you start to say, okay, what would another choice be? Because that's all this really comes down to, is that power of choice in that moment, to definitely let the emotions be there, but notice the places where you're stepping outside and not giving your body deep permission to feel.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that often anxiety and stress, they are a build-up from not being given permission to feel things that are completely fair enough. And, I know a lot of clients who they've come to me and they're on anti-anxiety medication, de-stress meditation, antidepressants, and there is a time and a place for that in extreme circumstances. But a lot of the time when I've said to them, how did your journey begin? Like, what put you on this roller coaster of medication in the first place? It'd be like, oh, I had a car accident and I went to the doctor. Or someone died and I went to the doctor, and I was riddled with anxiety, riddled with stress, and they gave me the medication. It's like, what if that doctor said, wow, you've had an accident. It's fair enough. Your system is really stressed and anxious right now. You need to shake. Wow, your partner died. That's really stressful. That's really stressful to the nervous system. You need to just allow the body to cry. You need to let it run. You need to let it fight, whatever it is. We have accidents, we have falls, we have sexual abuse in our life, physical abuse. Most people have had some level of trauma, and that trauma gets stuck in the body because when it happens at that time, we don't know how to let it release it from the body like an animal knows. If they're getting chased and they're nearly died, they'll shake because that animal is following the naturalness of their body. Fuck, there was fear here. And they shake it out, but they're not storing the energy like we do. How many of you let yourself just shake? Well, I saw a woman have an accident on a scooter yesterday, and I wanted to intervene, but I thought, Chantelle, just stay out of it. I'm like, when you go home, can you please shake for 5 minutes? Because I could see her. She just took a deep breath. She's like, yep, I'm all right. She was limping. I could feel she was in a stress response. Her chest was heaving. And we're not taught any of this. We're taught how to grow this. We're not taught how to deal with our nervous system. And actually, we're taught the opposite. Often as children, it's like, oh, don't worry, don't be sad, don't be cross, don't be this, don't be that. I've just had a fall. Can you let me cry for 5 minutes without trying to fix me? I've just been stressed. And so all of that undischarged energy is in your body. And the more undischarged energy that's in your body, the more it builds up until we get to the point where we're riddled with anxiety and we're riddled with stress, which is very sad. So you want to start to discharge the undischarged tension in your nervous system to create more ease so that there isn't those huge amounts of anxiety and stress. And then when that stress and anxiety come, it's like what Aaron said at the beginning, embrace that, go, okay, here we are. And sometimes for some people, anxiety is like hyperventilation. It's like panic attack. It's, really full on. So you may need some help with this, but the breathing, the slow breathing into the body can really help, and letting go of all resistance to the experience. Because often when there's a panic attack or anxiety or extreme stress, it's like, oh, something's wrong with me. And we resist, or we try to work it out, or we're like, oh my God. And it's like, if you can just go, okay, here I am, and breathe and let go of your resistance to what's happening in your body and let go of attachment to being anywhere else, then eventually the nervous system will calm down. And then go to that thought that you had before the anxiety hit. That thought isn't true usually. It's like none of our thoughts are true. Actually, is anything absolutely true? And change that thought and see how a different thought feels in your body. Then dive into what's happening in the body. You don't even have to understand why. I've felt anxious before. Like, fuck, why am I feeling all of this? I could try to work it out with my mind, or I can just breathe vibrate what's alive in me. And then, oh, wow, underneath all of that was a longing to be taken care of. I had no idea that that was there. Or underneath all of that is that I'm worried about my daughter, or whatever it is. There can be a superficial catalyst for anxiety or stress, but actually right underneath that is something else, and then that relieves everything. And then after you've gone through a process of that, then you want to like bring some oxytocin back into the body and serotonin, happy chemicals. So then you can just go, okay, how do I want to feel? How would I feel if this other thought was true? Breathe that into your body. Bring some touch to your body. Dance. Go for a cold swim. Ask for support from a friend. Whatever it is. So, you have so many options. And they don't have to be turning to your addictions or turning to medication. They can be trusting this teacher. The teacher of who you are, when you actually allow yourself to feel what's underneath things. To dive a bit deeper and to start to essentially become more alive, to really start to unstuck or unpack stuck energy, stagnant waters, so that Kundalini and life force can flow a lot more freely.
Yeah, and I love looking at nature and animals to really see what they do with anxiety and stress. Like I love watching a dog who, if he just had a really shocking experience, he'll kind of step away and then he'll just shake his body. It's like, oh, I need to shake this out. So even right now, it might sound crazy. Just shake your body a little bit. Just go, ah, ah, ah. And then in that moment of just simply allowing yourself to shake, I know that when I do that, I often have a big grin on my face because it's just like joy comes through. Can shake out the things that are held underneath. And it might seem silly or foolish, or people might look at you funny, but often the people that are looking at you funny are the ones that are diving deep into the bottle of whiskey at the end of the night. It's you get to set the example for your own life. So, if you had a mother or father that said, don't express, and you're not allowed to be sad, you're not allowed to be angry, whatever the situation is.
And whether they said that overtly or covertly, like, it's okay, or don't be sad.
Yeah, whatever that may be, give yourself permission to rewrite your code. Give yourself permission to rewrite your life. Like, if you feel overwhelmed by anxiety and stress, then chances are there's something you're probably doing that you're not wanting to do anymore. There's something that is showing up in your life that it's time to make a different choice around. But you are the navigator of your reality. You are the navigator. You're the one that can actually take a moment to pause and breathe and give yourself a chance to say, wow, okay, what's underneath this desire to have another pill? What's this desire to, take myself away from the situation because it's too overwhelming? Certainly, be nice to your nervous system. Take time and space when you need to. But don't always find yourself distracting away because, again, in my own journey, my programming was anxiety and stress. I would just numb. I got so numb at a young age because I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to give myself permission to feel. And I notice in the moments when anxiety is rushing up or I'm feeling stressed that I can try to find all of the answers that I would need to in my mind, which often has the result of my body numbing. But through these practices, I'm more aware of that. And then I'll just go and put on a song I love and just shake my body, or go to the bed and hit the pillows for, a minute or two, just to allow myself. It's like, okay, that isn't what I need. That story, that stress isn't what I need to buy into. I can rewrite the story of how I want it to be, because our bodies are so adaptable. There's so much knowledge and wisdom that is longing and seeking to bring yourself into the essence of what you're here to share and to give. And if when you look yourself in the mirror each day or each night, that the life that you're living isn't at the fullness, the capacity, the desire that you're wanting it to be because of anxiety or stress, or maybe it's something else, then begin to rewire your nervous system to live in the fullness of how you want to show up in this life. And when you do it and you take time to learn these principles and to practice it day after day, I mean, we hold long retreats and we go into all these things, and it's good to have that experience. But more than anything, what we want people to, apply and share into their life is living and breathing this every day in your relationship, in your own inner union, with your parents, with your brother, sister, and friends. That's where change and transformation really begins to happen.
And it's really just the willingness to feel. That's all it is. It's like, can I be willing to feel instead of numbing to that? And yeah, sometimes anxiety and stress is a call to change. It's like you're like this because you're living the life that's not in alignment with your soul. But I've experienced anxiety and stress when I'm in full alignment, and actually it's like, wow, my life's so great. Can this be okay? And I had that quite recently, actually. I was feeling anxiety and I didn't know what it was about. And then I just like dived into it. And there was this guilt around, oh, wow, I'm too happy, or things are going too well here. So it doesn't have to make sense. And the body is really the barometer of the soul. And when you can start trusting that, it's going to show you amazing things. And the key really is to take the emphasis from outside and bring it in, because sometimes, what you shared around something needs to change, that can be used as an excuse. That can be like, I've got all this anxiety, my relationship is wrong, my job is wrong. Actually, no, none of them are wrong. Your response to it is, or it can be that it needs to change, and only your body is going to tell you that. So yeah, this journey inward to allowing actually a tenderness to yourself. That's what it's about. It's like, instead of trying to do better and thinking you need to be somewhere else and trying to get into a different state than the anxiety or the stress, beating yourself up about it and then just having this perpetual cycle, actually, can I just stop all trying? Can I turn to myself with tenderness? Can I check out what was I thinking? Is that thought even true? Can I change that and be kinder to myself? And then can I breathe deeper and just let myself feel what is there to be felt, with some breath, with some sound, with some movement. And then can I call into my nervous system actually what I'm wanting to feel. And yeah, it's really a beautiful formula. And then of course, if you're needing more support around that, then we're absolutely here for you. We have lots of free resources, blogs, podcasts that will help with anxiety and stress, and then our deeper work. So thank you for being with us.
Yeah, and if there's questions or comments, feel free to share that in the thread below. And yeah, we're here for you. Lots of fun events and retreats and things happening. So find us at ELIYAH.com, and we're here to support you.